and I've got three different artists, three different drummers that have agreed to like let me mess with their drums. Um, Al Church, Murphy Jansen. There you go. You're gonna hear me in the background as I mute myself, so I can just make sure that I'm seeing what's going on. Um, yeah. Take a minute, grab your headphones. I'm gonna say that a lot. I'm working my way to not using those speech modifiers. But you know what happens? We talk and we pause and we think about something, and inevitably we make a noise in that time that we're paused. So there it is again. So I'm gonna take a little sip of this Gerolsteiner sparkling water. Let me know what kind of sparkling water you are listening to. Yeah, because you listen to your sparkling water. I do. Do you can hear it like buzz. Yeah. We're gonna talk about mixing some drums. If you're gonna hang out with us, I'll be switching it up to some Pro Tools. We'll mix some drums. We're gonna talk about three main topics. Three, or maybe like the Germans, Gerolsteiner. Three. First thing, kick drum, snare drum, and overheads. I got a specific question from my friend Colin Lonekin. He wants to know like what I do to compress overheads, so we'll address that directly when we start listening to some overheads. So let's take it in a little closer. Let's show you my screen. I've already got a Pro Tools session pulled up. Get your headphones on if you're not, because you might not hear some stuff that I do if you don't have headphones on. Okay. So look at that. We've got a little pedal board shot and me. Let's take the pedal board shot off. Excuse me. Drinking bubbly water when you're doing a live stream, you're gonna burp a little bit. I might adjust the exposure a little bit on my camera. Get me a little more light. Yeah, there we go. All right, the camera's happy now. So let's dig in. This is Al Church on drums for a project that I'm working on. He sent me some drums. I laid it out in a session just like I normally would. Let's turn on my cursor so that you can see it easier. I was told, hey, show me where your cursor is. Can you see that better? If you're here, you're paying attention, give me a comment so that I can see who's here, because I'm actually watching this live stream from my personal page on my iPhone. I'm not using the presenter in order to show you what's on my screen. So I want to get rid of that this pedal board shot here, but maybe I won't be able to. Who knows? Actually, let's try. Before I go any further, let me get rid of it. That should switch up to seeing me. Hi, welcome. I know there's a couple of you here. Welcome. Grab your headphones. We're going to be listening to some drums. We're not going to be doing... let's see. I'm going to get rid of this thing real quick. There you go. Give you the meta view. Everybody likes that. Everybody likes that meta view. And we should be back to just the normal view. Okay, so let's get started. Hey, Nicholas. Hi. Welcome. Christopher David Hansen. Yeah, we talked about doing that thing, and then it's like 2 months, and, I just, maybe another time. Anyway, let's get started. Let's listen to the drums as they were sent to me. If something sounds funny to you, like it's delaying, just hit me up in the comments, and I can attempt to fix that. I think we're good to go. All right, let's listen here. These are some drums sent to me by my friend Al Church, and he is kind enough to let us just use this to demonstrate some stuff. So here you go. Here's the drums as they were sent to me for this song. And as you can see, how many tracks do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks. We have 5 tracks in there. Now when I hear this, immediately I'm like, all right, this is good to go. I don't have to do a ton to make it sound amazing. It already sounds pretty good. I do see a few things. I'm going to zoom in. I'm using key commands to do that. I can see that these snare drum hits, they're probably clipping. I'm going to adjust those down a little bit just to get a nice balance. We can even like zoom way in to that spot, and we can see that like that waveform, check that out. It's shaved off. See that? Al, if you're watching this, if you do watch this, here's the trick to take care of this so you don't have that happen. When you're setting up your speakers and or setting up your headphone mix, turn it louder. You won't feel like you need more of that microphone if you're hearing everything louder. So that they'll just give us some headroom to work with. So that's clipping. It's fine. It doesn't sound distorted. So the preamps that you're using are they're pretty good. They're not sounding too distorted. I am listening on my Odyssey headphones that I use for mastering. So let's take another listen. Got a lot of low rumble on the kick drum, which I like. It doesn't sound like, it's not sounding rumbly, it's just sounding beefy. And we got a lot of red lights that I'm going to take care of right now. How do I do that? First, my signal flow for these 5 tracks. I've got kick drum, snare drum, I've got a side snare, an overhead, and I have a front of kick. Front of the bass drum. It's a ribbon mic that's just a couple of feet out in front of that drum. It's got a nice sound, and then I've routed all those sounds through this drum bus and then through a mix bus, just like I would if I'm working on a finished song. And then I have that all routed through an audio track so that we can record everything we do. Let's listen again, but this time let's turn the lights off by putting a limiter plugin. We'll just use the built-in Avid Maxim plugin, and we're not going to do anything with a threshold. I'm just going to turn the ceiling down to turn the lights off. It doesn't sound like it's clipping, so we should be fine. Look at that. The lights are not turning red. All right. So let's go and let's work on the kick drum a little bit. Let's see. Any specific questions on kick drum from my friend Snow? Favorite plugins? You can see them right here when I click on the inserts. When I click on inserts to add one, I've got my Shep 73. That's a Neve 1073 EQ plugin, and I've got a Waves CLA 76 and 1176 compressor plugin. Those are 2 of my favorite. I use them all the time. So we're going to turn this on for the kick drum, and we're going to just listen to that for just a second. Rumbly. All right, let's take some. So immediately when you're doing mixing, you want to listen all the way through the song and decide what it is you want to make stand out, or what it is you don't like, what it is you want to fix, and you want to think about ways that you can do that fix. Let's see, ways that I can fix what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is I would like to hear more of the tom-toms. I'd like to hear, he's playing a lot of tom-toms. Let's bring that out, and the way to do that is going to be with the overheads. So let's actually start there, because I kind of like how the snare sounds. I kind of like how the kick drum sounds. Let's start with this overhead. So let's play the music and let's put a plugin on. I'm just going to put a basic Avid plugin. Yeah, that's right. We're going to do the Avid compressor limiter Dyne 3. This is just something that anybody can have. You can just use this your stock plugin, and let's listen to what it does. We're going to solo up just the overheads, and we're going to take it out of bypass. And I'm going to adjust the threshold to where the compressor starts working. If you don't know how a compressor is working, or if you're watching this and you're not an audio person, there are a lot of videos on the internet, and if you'd like me to go talk about how a compressor works, I can dedicate 20 minutes, an hour to talking about just compressors sometime, if that's interesting to you. For now, we're just going to assume that you know something about how to use a compressor. Maybe you don't know exactly what it does, but we're going to start by adjusting the threshold of when the compressor starts working. Okay. We're not getting much gain reduction just yet. Whoa, do you hear that? You hear how much that changes the sound? You can see the meter on the gain reduction just slamming. This is the default. We just put the plugin on, and all these other settings are set this way from the factory. Let's adjust it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the attack. That's how long it takes the compressor to start reacting. I'm going to adjust the knee so that it doesn't just hard start working. Now listen, just by changing that, the sound changed. We're going to go back to the beginning again, and we'll adjust some more. Okay, we want the toms though. We want the toms section. I might try and loop that section. Here we go. Now we're getting just a tiny bit of gain reduction, so it's adjusting anything that's louder. It's pulling that down just a little bit. So we set the threshold. Anytime the audio goes over that threshold, then it's gonna turn it down just a little bit. It's barely happening. Now we're gonna adjust the attack of the compressor. Now let's listen and hear the difference between what we're doing with the compressor and what it sounded like before. Okay, so we're making it quieter. And we can see that with the input and the output levels on this plugin. So I'm gonna give it some makeup gain because I've turned it down, and we want to adjust it so that it sounds about the same at the peak. Almost there. With 6 dB of gain reduction, we'll give it about 6 decibels of makeup gain. Now, when we turn it on and off, you hear that gush? Like, boof. Maybe that's too much. Let's back off on it a little bit. Let's get 3 dB. And let's pull that output gain down just a little bit. Now it sounds louder. Now we've used the compressor to shrink the volume so that we can then turn it up. So all the quiet stuff in the room seems to have come louder, but what we did was we turned the loud stuff down and then turned everything up a little bit. Now let's listen with everything. Now, I have done part of the job that I wanted to get done, which was bring the sound of the tom-toms up a little bit in relationship to the rest of the music. In this case, the music as in just drums. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Let's do the same thing, but with the front of kick microphone. If I hold the control key, I have group on so that it'll select everything at once. If I hold the control key, it will tell me it will only solo that one item in command focus mode. Now this has more toms, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to option drag the compressor settings that I already have come to, and when I use the option key to drag, it'll bring those settings over. I'm going to get a little more gain reduction, and I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because I want to be able to turn it on and off and really hear what's changing. So I want the level to be the same. I don't want to make it louder with the compressor. I want to change the sound. And you can do this other ways. Okay. This is pretty dry, isn't it? All right. Now let's hear everything together. Now I feel like maybe we have too much snare, so I'm going to pull both of these snares down. Okay. That sounds pretty good for 5 microphone recording in an apartment. That sounds pretty good. Let's switch over to a different situation. This is a small. We're gonna switch out of Al's drum kit that he recorded at home, and we're gonna move over to my friend Anthony's drum kit, which he recorded at a small studio. So budget studio, small, kind of like my studio here, just more purpose-built as a studio instead of just repurposing a basement as a studio. So I'm going to make these tracks inactive, and I'm going to grab Anthony's drums. There they are. That's just hiding and making inactive. Let's take a listen to Anthony's drums, and let's decide what it is that we want to work on. Okay, what do you instantly hear? Difference, right? He's hitting the drums harder, and the way the microphones are set are a little bit quieter, so we can adjust that to make it sound like the last drums. We can give it some more kick drum, and you notice that I'm adjusting this with clip gain. If you're familiar with Pro Tools, clip gain is a great way to adjust so you don't have to change the fader volume. I start my mix there to get all the sounds hitting in the way they should so that all the plugins work the right way. Or I should say, when I say work the right way, I mean work the way that they were designed. Okay, same thing I want to accomplish here. I want to accomplish bringing out the sound of the toms, but in this case, I actually have tom microphones that were provided with the recording session. So they had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, they're counted here. 10 microphones recorded with at the studio. So we could actually like work on bringing the toms out with the toms themselves. We don't have to use the overheads, but we're going to use the overheads because Colin asked us about compression and overheads. Did you hear that? I'm just going to add a little ASMR to our video. Drinking Gettelsteiner. Not a sponsor, but man, they should be. Okay. Let's mute the toms so that we can actually hear everything without the tom microphones. Okay, I'm going to pan those toms or those overheads left and right. Let's listen to just the overheads. Okay, I'm gonna move them. Here's a recommendation for you. If you're recording anything, drums, don't say left or right. Say which side of the drum kit you put the microphone on. So if the microphone is over the hi-hats, call it the overhead hats. If the microphone is over the ride cymbal, call it overhead ride. Because your left, my left, might be different. I might think of the hi-hat side as the left, but you think of the hi-hat side as the right because you're looking at the drummer. No audio coming through the right channel at the moment. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Well, thanks for the notification. Pull up the old control surface. Let's play some audio. Boy, it should be. I should say, give it a pause. And find out where that's coming from. No audio coming from the right channel. Okay. Now that screen's up, I can open OBS and see. There should be audio coming from the right channel. I'll check it again. Okay, close. Well, I wonder if that is... I just checked on my live stream, so I'm going to switch over to Facebook and see if they have anything to say. Next audio format. Yeah, well, okay, I guess we might cut short. I don't know why. Huh. Yeah, that's strange. Giacomo, I don't know. It's, I've got my audio leaving my computer. What I'm hearing is left and right. My audio input interface shows that it's sending left and right audio. But let me check my settings. Yeah, no, I really don't understand. Might have to call for a restart. Who knows? Well, I could just mono it. There's that. Let's. There. Now it's in mono. So, okay, you won't hear my panning. Oh well. Well, let's go back to the screen. And compress these overhead microphones with a different compressor. All right. In order to do that, I'm actually going to take both of these tracks because they were recorded with separate microphones in a mono file. I want to work on them together. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to send them to a new track, and I'm just going to call it overheads. And I'm going to bring that track underneath them because that's how I like it. And I'm going to tell them to go to my drum bus. And now, oh yeah, and you also always have to change the color. That's a crazy drum part, but let's work on compressing these drums in kind of a busy part where it leaves a click and drag to select an area, spacebar, then it loops. We're going to put a plugin on the overheads. This time I'm going to use an 1176 plugin, CLA's 1176 from Waves. It's already doing a lot. Okay. When I put a compressor on, unless I know exactly what I want it to do, I'm going to adjust the controls. My goal here is to not have the volume appear to change. I think I've come close. Now, as you can see, we're barely moving the needle on the compressor. Now, on a compressor that has a VU meter, it's going to go like this. But it's mechanical and it's slow. So when it says 1 or 2 or 3 decibels of a gain reduction, then it's more likely going to be like 10 at peak. It could be, it's not exact and they're not fast. So you should really listen with your ears with good headphones. Okay, now I'm going to adjust the attack and the release to hear the differences in these overheads. Let's give it a little more input so that it compresses a little harder. You'll hear how drastic that change is. Pumping a lot. So So what we're doing there, the opposite of what we did before, when we see that needle move real slow, then the compressor is actually, it's taking a long time to get back to where it was. So it's working really hard like that. And you can get more attack out of an instrument if you want that by using a compressor. Let's go the other extreme. Now let's make it release really fast. All right. It's really moving. Let's make this overhead mic sound like room mics. I'm going to turn the output down and the input way up. Check this out. Do you hear the energy in that compressor? It's compressing a lot. I don't normally do that unless I really want to change the character of the sound. Here's where you could go. Okay, if you really want to level out, you might want to put some form of meter to meter the sound very precisely. Let's see if I have a good meter that I can show you. Let's see here. We're going to use BX meter. That's from Plugin Alliance. And we're going to hold shift and open the plugin at the same time. So let's keep an eye on, we're going to keep an eye on what's happening with the actual output before and after. Okay, my peaks before the compressor are at -6 when he's hitting really hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up all the way, the output, so that it matches. It's going to sound a lot louder because we've leveled the sound out. There it is. Let's listen, not on loop, and then let's listen in context. Do you hear that now? All of a sudden you can actually hear the other instruments that we're playing in the room. There's in context with everything else. We're going to mute the overheads. That's doing a lot to the sound. So you could really, maybe too much, I think, but it's really fills up the space. Just listen to that again. I'm going to turn the overheads. I'll turn the compressor on and then off. Here's without. The drums sound kind of. We'll go back to the beginning. Drums sound kind of. They're flat. They need to. For a rock drum set, like metal drum set. Here's a question I had. Should I mix drums? Let's think about this. Should I mix drums by weight or by volume? Think about that for a little bit. Should I mix drums by weight or by volume? And that question came from my friend Eric Axtell. It's a joke, but actually, when I think about it, well, Jillian's answer was, does it matter if the sponge is good? That's a great British baking show reference. Let's listen to this again. So this is a metal band, and you think of heavy music, the term heavy, right? So maybe by weight, if the music is heavier, we want to treat it a little bit more, but not too much, because then if it's heavy but it has a small amount of volume, you see what we're going with. If it has a small amount of volume, then actually the sound is smaller, not bigger. So let's listen to that again. Overheads. We're listening for the overheads, right? You're going to hear the sound kind of gush up and become exciting. This is no compression on the file at all that I did. I think the band cracked some compression. Listen to that here. Way too much. But here's the idea. How much gain reduction are we doing here? Looks like 20 decibels of gain reduction. That's a lot. So let's go in and change the plugin. Let's hide that one. Let's move our meter down a little bit, and let's add a different compressor, one that has a blend. I don't remember. Does the API 2500 have a blend? Negative, not the Waves one. So we're gonna put something like the Arouser. This is a Empirical Labs distressor, but in a plugin. Hey, Eric Kruger, Matt Decker, how you guys doing? Nick Elstead, Nate Mishka, how you doing, guys? Welcome to me mixing Pro Tools on Facebook. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to accomplish the same thing, 20 to 1, that I was doing with this 1176. So let's listen to hear if we can accomplish the same task. Needs to be a little bit more aggressive. Okay, here's the goal. I brought up a different one so I can blend in the dry signal with these overheads. So the uncompressed, unaffected. Let's hear that in action. We're going to take the mix control, and we're going to turn the compressor all the way off and then turn it up until we think it sounds good. There we go. Okay, let's listen to that again, and we'll turn it on and off. All right. What do you think? To me, if you're listening on good headphones, I guess you're only hearing a mono signal that Giacomo made me aware of. But to me, it just kind of sounds like the drums, the room. It sounds more like I would be in the room with the drummer. And so if you're going for that, cool. If you're not going for that, you got to do something else. But that's the kind of thing that you have to decide. What do you want? So, okay, that's Al Church's drum set. Thank you, Al, for playing drums. That's Anthony Gore from Savage Moods. He played some drums. So that went from a home studio apartment room with 5 microphones to a professional studio, budget professional studio, 10 microphones. And I think next what we're going to do is we're going to quick hide this stuff. We're going to save, and we'll open up a different drum set. This was recorded at a good professional studio, Underwood. Let's make that stuff inactive, and let's open this up. You'll hear some differences, both in the part that's played here, and not only the part that's played, but in the tone, the room. This room is really dead. They also have great microphones. So let's listen. I brought these drums in exactly as they had them in the session. So I didn't want to mess with it too much, but I will flatten it out so you can hear what it sounded like off the microphone preamps without any adjustments. So, okay, we're going to play that. This is Murphy Jameson playing drums. And you'll hear him sing. He's like singing along to the drums. I think it's hysterical when I hear that. Hey, Chad. Okay. I'm going to turn my headphones down a little bit because I can tell that I've been listening to this stuff kind of loud. And the transients have been hitting really hard in these headphones. I've been listening a little louder than I should. Okay, let's listen again. Now this drum set has a kick drum inside the microphone, a kick drum outside the microphone. Let's see, can you see that on the screen? Let me switch to that screen so that you can see it, because I had you looking at my face. All right. It should be switched now. Okay. So this studio has We had a kick drum inside the mic. We had a kick drum microphone outside the kick. We had a snare microphone on the top. We had a snare microphone on the bottom of the snare. We had a hi-hat mic, 2 tom microphones, 1 for each tom, I'm guessing. There was a mono overhead, 1 overhead in mono, then a mono microphone for the whole drum set. This one's labeled crotch. That means the microphone was pointed at the drummer's crotch. It sounds good. Then we have the room, and it's labeled far. So let's hear how that room far microphone sounds. Okay, you hear how dry that is? I just pulled all the microphone's adjustments up to 0. I'm going to lower this crotch mic because I know it needs to go down. Okay. That's pretty dry. Let's see if we can make it sound a little more exciting. I do this all the time. I like the medium size tracks because it's easier to see when I'm sitting. I'm sitting about 4 feet away from my screen. No, 3.5 feet, and I don't want to wear my glasses, so I have to make the tracks bigger. So let's make it more exciting. This is kind of along the lines of how do I compress my overheads? And the question is just however you want. Put a compressor on, adjust. I don't have any settings except that I usually start when I'm compressing drums and when I'm really compressing anything, I start with the attack slowest, the release attack slowest, release fastest, and then I adjust the threshold until I'm getting any gain reduction. Then I adjust the output so that it matches the output when I have it turned off, so I can really decide on or off is what I'm doing better. And then I adjust the attack again, then I'll adjust the input again, then I'll adjust the release again, and then adjust the input and the output, and it's a lot of clicking. Okay, let's actually compress this room with the 1176. That's about right. Let's slam it. Fastest release. 21 ratio. Turn the output down. You hear that? How much kick there is? And hi-hat. This is why I rarely ever have a hi-hat microphone. Okay. I don't like how much kick drum there is in this room mic, so I am going to put on a plug-in before the compressor to limit how much low end is going to get to the compressor. I'm not going to sidechain gate it. I just don't want that low end. There we go. Just a tiny bit. All I did, I didn't even adjust the Q of the high pass filter. I just put a high pass filter on, adjusted it until the low end wasn't bothering me. I might do the same kind of thing. Let's hear if we can get rid of the hi-hats. Let's try it. Let's hear it with the rest of the band. You hear how much hi-hats there are now? I mean, just because I adjusted all the levels. Let's turn off the hi-hat microphones. Okay. If anybody's wearing headphones while they're listening to this, you're going to hear the phase shift that happens when I turn on and off the room mic. Let's see if I can get this to pop up on the screen. Check phase. Now that I've done some work, I don't know if it actually worked. Yeah, check phase. See that? On the screen it says check phase, check the phase. So let's do it here. Take that EQ. Okay, it's just the sound. Doesn't matter. It's far enough away from the other microphones that the inverse square law or whatever it's called actually is in effect. It's kind of cool. I might make it sound more like a room mic and do this thing that I just learned from my friend Colin. I'm going to use the Waves Super Tap. Thanks, Colin, for this hot tip. Waves Super Tap. I'm not going to use the original signal. I'm not snapping it to the grid. I'm going to use milliseconds, and I'm going to pan one of these hard left and the other one hard right. Let's see if I can actually get it to do what I want it to do. Drag that little disc. Now check this out. Okay. I'm going to take my mono mic and make it stereo. Here it is. Check it out. Oh, you can't hear it, but it can make it sound farther away. Cool. That was fun. Let's see where we're at. 5 more minutes. I'm not going to answer the perfect Dave Matthews Band snare drum sound. Favorite plugins. How do you get a good kick sound that isn't thwompy? Nick Costa asked me that question. How do you get a good kick drum sound that isn't thwompy? Well, I answered on Instagram that I think that that's probably thwompy is thwompy is the term you're using, and when I hear that, I hear the person is like has a pillow and maybe the tuning is too low for the drum and maybe they're burying the beater, and everything has its place. I don't love that sound personally. A pillow can work, but the tuning is really important. Thwompy sounding kick drums. I mean, what kind of kick drum do you like? What kind of music are you playing? That's a good question. You know, if you're playing music that requires thwomp, maybe is this kick drum thwompy? Nick, is that Is that kick drum sound thwompy? If you're listening on headphones, I might compress the heck out of that kick drum. I do see that it's probably got some DC offset, but that's for another time. We're at about an hour. Thanks for participating. Thanks for participating in my live stream. I'm going to put this up on YouTube, and I will hopefully make a better curriculum. I appreciate you hanging out if you're still here with me. Let me take a look. Let's see. What else? Do you have any questions? Anybody got anything to say? Yeah. Okay, great. That's it. Well, I think, so long for now. We'll hear from you next time. Maybe. I'll just keep posting. You'll see you next Sunday night. I think I probably got a little more to do on drums. I'd like to talk about some drum effects. So next week we're gonna go ahead and keep working on drums. And hopefully I can figure out that stereo thing. Grab some good headphones. And next week I'll take you through some of the ways that I do processing, and I'll do, instead of like very specific like kick drum things, let's just do a balance and get some weird stuff going on. This week I had gotten out a couple of toys to work on while mixing. This Montreal Assembly count to 5. I want to mess with that in drums. And I didn't even get to use this beast, the red DI. Oh, you can hear the transformer hum when they get close. But I'll keep playing. We'll see you next Sunday night. If you got questions for me, hit me up. This will be posted on YouTube. Yeah, the count to 5. It's sick. And I was playing with it on drums. It was doing some reverse stuff. The timing is like gooey. But hey, that's for another day. If you like this, just like it if you like it, and comment again. Let me know you're here next time. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again.